Hello everyone, I'm Ben Way. Welcome to WorldPlayHQ, your home of expert analysis, match previews and fearless predictions as we help you build the perfect World Cup bracket. For some, there's already cause for celebration, having ensured progression to the round of 32. For others, the dream will end in the group stage. Joining me to break it all down and look ahead to the upcoming action, we have Spencer Siegel, an American sports commentator living in Spain, and Max Lohest, a sports journalist and content creator following his beloved Belgium on their North American journey. As the boys give us a wave, we better let you know how to play WorldPlayHQ. So, it's where global conversation turns into a global competition. The World Cup gives us the drama. WorldPlay gives you a chance to prove that you saw it coming. Watch the games, follow the experts, make your selections, build your bracket by June 30 and compete with fans all over the world for your chance to win. It's free to play. Follow the action at WorldPlayHQ. Twice pegged back by Japan in their opener, the Dutch have fired a warning shot to the tournament favourites with a 5-1 win against Sweden. Now, the Swedes know how Tunisia felt, I guess. Max, the Netherlands weren't necessarily dominant, but they were clinical, weren't they?
Yes, they were pretty good yesterday in terms of finishing, and I would point out Ronald Koeman's coaching because the whole country, the Netherlands, Netherlands is close to Belgium. The whole country wasn't really understanding why Brobbey wasn't playing, or at least played only 5 minutes in the first game, but he played as a starter yesterday, and that was much better with 2 goals in the beginning. So I guess the coaching was better yesterday as well.
It was. Brobbey a double, as you mentioned. Gakpo a double. Somerville won in front of nearly 69,000 at Houston Stadium. They're considered the best to never win, Spencer. Are they a chance in 2026?
Yeah, it's interesting because you talk about the coaching of Koeman and what he's capable of with this team, and I think it gets really difficult if they need to come up with performances like these consistently. And let's see, yesterday it looked pretty good. I thought that Brobbey goal was one of the best of the tournament from just a sheer willpower standpoint. But remember, if they win their group, which it looks like they might do now because they've got Tunisia in their last game, they got to match up with the second place team from Group C. That could be Morocco or Brazil, and now you're talking about having to start by winning that one en route to winning 5 in a row. I think it's going to be a tough road for them.
Yeah, it certainly is. You could see from some of the stats there, they weren't entirely dominant. Shots on target, total shots, they conceded more corners as well, but in the end of the day, the score was quite convincing, 5-1. Japan were definitely convincing, 4-0 winners against Tunisia and opened the scoring less than 4 minutes in, the fastest in their World Cup history. Now, from the outset, this did look a tough group. You can't help but feel there has been a slight power shift the past couple of days. The Dutch flexed their muscle, Japan did the same thing. So as you mentioned, we've got first and second for Group F. They play second and first from Group C in that round of 32. So for those piecing it together, you've touched on it there, Brazil and Morocco. I wouldn't say either of them are easy. In Group E action, a stoppage time winner as Germany overcame a 1-0 halftime deficit to take 3 points against a heartbroken Cote d'Ivoire. For a brief moment though, Spencer, Group E was turned on its head, wasn't it, about half an hour into this one?
Yeah, it was kind of like the brief moment when Curacao had a goal against Germany 38 minutes into the first game. Although this was the first time that I thought Germany didn't exactly look like Germany. They looked really good in the friendlies leading up to this competition. They obviously took care of business after a slow start against Curacao and found their goals. Listen, I was watching this game here in Spain with a really good friend of mine who's German, and he's a big fan of Stuttgart, and he said, listen, I don't know why Undav isn't starting. So the same thing with Brobbey, but with Undav. And he said he's going to come into the game, he's going to score 2 goals, and Germany are going to win the game. And sure enough, Undav comes in the 60th minute or so. They need goals. He scores right away. He comes up with the winner in stoppage time. It's pretty storybook for a guy like him. I wonder if he's going to start seeing more minutes or get inserted into the lineup, but he's clearly the goal scorer at the front that, with all due respect to Kai Havertz, that's not his role. Kai Havertz isn't really a 9, he's not really a 10, right? What is he? Dennis Undav is a goal scorer.
It is amazing as we're all watching the action that we become part-time managerial stars as well while we're at it. How does it impact your bracket? That's probably the question. Well, Germany, they're through and will play one of the third place teams from either Group A, B, C, D or F. that makes sense to you. All is not lost for Cote d'Ivoire, though. They picked up 3 points against Ecuador. They'll be heavily favoured in their final game against Curacao. Second in this group is going to meet second in Group I, and that could be France, Norway or Senegal. So no easy ones there either. You can't assume Curacao will be a walkover, though. Ecuador made that mistake, having been blown out of the water 7-1 by Germany. They held on for a famous draw, and the keeper, Aloy Rum, was simply sensational, Max. What a moment it was for the World Cup's smallest nation.
What a moment, indeed. We already saw it in the first game when they scored against Germany, how important that was for the country, the joy of the fans in the stands. But yesterday was another proof that they're not here to joke around. They're here to pick up points, and what a performance by the keeper. I saw that the king of the Netherlands even came in the dressing room after the game to congratulate the players. But on Ecuador's side, I'm a bit disappointed by Ecuador and their efficiency, because they've been dominating these two games against Cote d'Ivoire, against Curacao, but just couldn't find the opener yesterday against Curacao, and maybe a bit unlucky. A lot of shots on the bar also in the first game. So yeah, not sure what Ecuador is going to do, but that's a big disappointment for me so far.
I'm sure plenty of club sides all around the world were watching the 37-year-old keeper thinking, where on earth does he play and how do we not have him? Well, Miami FC in the USL Championship, the second tier of USA football, is the answer to that. So his 15 saves against Ecuador was just one shy of the all-time World Cup record held by former US keeper Tim Howard against Belgium in 2014, but that game did go to extra time. Day 9 results included a 3-0 win by Brazil against Haiti, guys. Cunha scored twice. It was a good response by the 5-time World Cup winners after being held by Morocco in their opener. What did you make of the performance, Max?
A good performance, convincing performance by Brazil for sure. It was a bit shaky at times against Morocco. Against Haiti, it was better, with the aspect that Haiti is not an opponent that is as good as Morocco for sure, but still convincing. A very good performance by Cunha. Starting him was a good choice by Ancelotti. A good Vinicius as well. He was already good in the first game. So convincing by Brazil, but I'm still waiting on how they're going to perform against a better opposition. As it stands, I think they might play Japan in the last 32. So that would be a very good test for Brazil, but still a convincing performance against Haiti.
The other Group C game saw Morocco 1-0 winners against Scotland. Several VAR decisions left the Scots frustrated, but Morocco enjoyed the majority of possession and territorial control, and it will take a good team to beat this Moroccan side, Spencer.
Yeah, and for Morocco, to me, it seems like they're doing it in a very similar way that they did this 4 years ago. And I think once you have one nation like Morocco coming from Africa making a semifinal for the first time ever, there's no reason to believe that it can't happen again. They allowed just one goal in those first 5 games 4 years ago. And so far through 2 games, the one goal they allowed was to Vinicius, and it was a good goal. In all fairness. So now they've got that third game against Haiti, which if they manage to get the job done, take care of business, score your goals in the World Cup, we saw that what happens when you don't do that, like Ecuador last night. So this is the type of game now where if they can cruise through to the knockout stages, they do possess the capability of being dangerous.
Well, off the back of that win, the North Africans are almost certainly through to the knockouts, while the fate of Steve Clarke's side remains uncertain. They play Brazil next to top the group on goal difference at present. Morocco play Haiti. So the host nations, they've been enjoying great success at the tournament so far. It's good to see all 3 top their respective groups. Mexico backed up their win against South Africa with a 1-0 defeat of South Korea. They sit atop Group A. Canada top Group B on goal difference, having thrashed Qatar 6-0. And the US, unfortunately for me and the rest of Australia, were too good for the Socceroos. They lead the way in Group D, Spencer. A good performance.
Yeah, all 3 host nations, as you said, are starting to put it together, because I think it took a couple of halves of football to really get it going for Canada. But we saw what they're capable of. Obviously, they played the majority of that game with a man advantage, but still, you got to get a win. That's their first ever win in a World Cup in the group stage proper. And to be honest, for the United States, this is the most fun I've ever had in my life watching the US national team play football. It's just never looked like this. So I'm intrigued, as is the rest of the US, to see where this team can go, what the expectations have now become for them, even though we already knew that there was a chance that the round of 16 was going to be the minimum in terms of expectation. But my one concern is what it's going to look like in a game that's a little bit closer than the last two. Again, all due respect to Australia, I thought the US played well enough to win that game. The difference is off the bench, who can help them when things get tough?
Well, the Americans are through, so at least you don't need to worry about that part. Through to the round of 32, where they're going to meet the third place team from groups A, E, H, I or J. Whoever finishes second in this will meet the second ranked team from group G. So if Belgium tops that group as expected, it'll be Egypt, New Zealand or Iran. There's a lot at stake when the Aussies play Paraguay, and it could really impact your bracket. Turkey essentially play for pride when they meet the US, exiting after the group stage, having lost 1-0 to Paraguay. A 10-man Paraguay, for that matter, Max. Miguel Almiron was sent off for covering his mouth while speaking to a player in a confrontational situation. It's a new rule that sparked great debate. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a bit of a tosser on this one for me. I sort of agree with the fact that we have to sanction these players that cover their mouth, but at the same time, I would find better if we sanction other behaviors on the pitch, such as being, let's say, aggressive and not respectful to the referee. In Belgium, field hockey is a very popular sport, and in that sport, we respect the referee, and we get a card anytime we speak to the referee. So I know it's a big issue in football, but I would like other behaviors to be sanctioned as well at that point, because if we get out a red card for a player just covering his mouth, we're pretty much capable of getting out red cards for people shouting stuff at the referee as well.
Match day 11 sees tournament heavyweight Spain in action, guys. Their nemesis from game one, Cabo Verde. Well, they hope to keep the fairy tale going against Uruguay. Max's Belgium play Iran, and New Zealand against Egypt, the other Group G fixture. As we have a look at those upcoming, we're going to start with Spain. Spencer, I can't help but feel Saudi Arabia are about to pay the price for Cabo Verde's history-making draw. Spain are going to be breathing fire, aren't they?
Yeah, and I just want to touch up on that last point real quick by saying that I agree that you have to sanction these things, but a red card for something like that is way too much. I think if we go yellow card and then we just take it step by step, you can't force Almiron now to miss that last crucial game for Paraguay in this group stage. That's a separate conversation. As for Spain, you talk about what they're capable of doing as a unit. It all rests on whether or not Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams are in the lineup, because without them against Cape Verde, they looked very narrow, and their whole 11, their strategy, their entire unit is based around how much width they can get with those two players. If they're not out on the pitch like they were for the last 20 minutes, and Spain were pushing and looking like a better team, looking more like Spain in those 20 minutes, even though they didn't get a goal, then it's going to cause a problem for them. So this is a chance for them against a team in Saudi Arabia who they'll have the confidence to take those one-on-ones against them on the wings. But again, it's got to be Lamine and it's got to be Nico, and they got to get the job done.
For those planning to have Spain running deep into their bracket, the team that tops their group will meet the second team from Group J. At the moment, that's Austria, with Argentina topping that group. Max, Belgium, you've had to wait a little while, I'm sorry, but Belgium and Iran meet in a group that's gridlocked off opening draws. Firstly, what did you make of the performance against Egypt to kick things off? The scenes as Belgium scored looked unreal.
Well, it was a sheer disappointment in the first half. I would say we reacted quite well in the second half. I guess the players weren't really ready to the opposition, and credits to Egypt. They played a very good game, very well organized defensively as well, and took their chances. It was better in the second half, and of course, the Lukaku's entry was the game changer for us. But we're still a bit shaky, so I really hope it's gonna be better tonight. But yeah, scenes as we equalize, because we had a tough game, honestly, and at a moment I thought we wouldn't come back, but we came back. so sheer scenes of joy and excitement here in Brussels.
Yeah, it's good to see you keeping a lid on things. What are the expectations for the upcoming game?
Well, a win at all costs, especially because I think Iran is less well organized than Egypt. I think it will be a more open game, but I hope the coaches changes some stuff. Amadou Onana, for example's performance against Egypt was catastrophic. To say the least. And we're going to play without Doku because that was the main talking point in Belgium yesterday. Doku is not going to play tonight because of respiratory issues. So who's going to replace Doku? Maybe Trossard goes on the left and we're getting Luke Bacchio in or other players. So we're going to see, but I hope for a win. That's the least we can expect.
I watched your Group G prediction, actually. That's the problem with social media. It's out there and people can look back on it. So you had Belgium top with 9 points. We can get rid of the 9 points. You can still finish top. But I guess the good news is, whether you finish first or second, I mean, again, with all due respect to my countrymen, you finish second, you probably get to play either Australia or Paraguay. So it's not the end of the world either way, but you think down the track you might pay the price.
No, indeed, not the end of the world for the round of 32, but it's afterwards because we might play then Argentina in the last 16, which would be a very, very tough draw. So I'd rather take 2 wins now and finish first and then see what happens next. I don't think in a World Cup you have to start some calculations anyway. Just win the games and we'll see what happens down the road.
Fair enough. We'll have a look at match day 12 now, guys. We get to see plenty of big guns there. Messi, Mbappe, Haaland, all for their respective nations, heavily favoured to be winning. Is there a standout fixture for either of you? Spencer, we'll start with you. Argentina, Austria, Jordan, Algeria, France, Iraq and Norway, Senegal.
Yeah, these are all great games. I find it really funny that we say, you shouldn't look down the line in World Cup games to see what happens and so that you try to position yourself. Because the irony is Austria and Algeria are going to face each other on the last match day, and that has extreme history when it comes to the World Cup and teams facing each other with a chance to maneuver and get into the right spot, because that was the famous disgrace of Gijón in 1982 when Austria and Germany played each other and basically just kicked the ball around for 90 minutes so that they could eliminate Algeria from competition. So it's going to be interesting on the last day. I think that Austria game is one that I'm looking forward to the most also.
Okay, Max, I'll put the same question to you. A lot of eyes on Lionel Messi, but I did wonder whether Senegal could prove a potential stumbling block for Norway.
Well, that's the interesting one for me, Norway-Senegal, because it's going to be the real tosser for probably the second place. Although I don't think it's going to be an easy win for France against Norway as well. Senegal looked really, really sharp against France in the first half, a bit more difficult in the second half. And Norway looked pretty good against Iraq, especially on the attacking side, although a bit shaky defensively. So I think this one is going to be a very good one. So I'll look forward to that.
There's a lot to look forward to. That'll do us for this episode. We look forward to your company throughout the tournament, everyone. Thanks, Spencer. Thanks, Max. Give us a wave. We appreciate you and your work as always. If you guys want to watch and catch the wave with us, then make sure you follow the games, follow the experts, make your selections, build your bracket by June 30 and compete with fans all over the world for your chance to win. Follow the action at WorldPlayHQ.